flat plate collector was introduced to you. This flat plate collector basically has the absorber plate is a flat plate, and it has a specific type of coating to increase its absorptivity, and above that you have a glass cover, and then other components like insulation and gasket, etc. And so that is one type of flat plate collector or non-concentrating or stationary collector. The other type of stationary or non-tracking collectors were mentioned. One of them was evacuated tube collector. So recently, this technology also has has now being accepted to a wide extent. One of the reasons given is that it has high efficiency, but the other reason is also that generally the cost is very low because of the mass production of this component, the tube which collects solar energy. So before showing you or giving you details about this tube, let me show something which you might have seen. So this is another type of domestic solar water heater. Perhaps many of you would have seen it. Now over terraces of many buildings or houses, you see this domestic solar water heater. One of them is the flat plate collector. The other one is this one having multiple tubes like this, having multiple tubes like this. Okay, so what are these tubes? The individually, though this is not showing you the full picture of the tube, it is only showing the mouth portion of that. So the mouth portion of that will fit here in the tank, right? And there will be a gasket here so that the water doesn't leak from the joint. So that mouth portion will be actually inserted into the water tank, and because of a gasket used at the joint, there won't be any water leakage. So there will be water filled in this tank, right, which is SS tank as it can be seen here, and there would be insulation, and because of that there would be like the heat loss from the water which is heated would be less because of the insulation in the tank. And this tube, as you can see, is hollow from inside, right? So it is hollow from inside, could be somewhere around 1.5 meter long. And then this is actually not a single tube. As you can see here, there are two tubes, right? One, this inner tube, the outer tube. Okay, so two concentric tubes are there, and there is a gap between them. The gap is very small, just 2-3 millimeter or so. There is a gap, but there is a gap between the two tubes, and that gap is not having uh, regular atmospheric air at that pressure. It is highly vacuumized, right? So it is, in other words, you can say it is evacuated, and that's why the name evacuated tube collector. Now, what is the advantage of not having air in between the two tubes? But before that, let me tell you that where is the absorber? If you compare it with the flat plate collector, there should be a layer which there should be a layer which absorbs. Okay, there should be a layer which absorbs the solar radiation. So that layer is on the outer surface of the inner tube, right? This is the inner tube, but it's not here, not in this portion. In this portion, there'll be water. Water will be filled in. So the whole space here inside the tube will be filled with water when you install it in the fashion what I just showed you for the domestic water heater. But uh, on the outer surface of that inner tube, there is a black color layer, which is selective coating, right? and this is having high absorptivity. So what will happen is solar radiation will pass through the outer tube. It will strike on this outer surface, which will get heated, right? It will be absorbed there, and it will increase the temperature, and that will be finally given through the thickness of the inner tube to the water. So this is another uh, device which is also being used now, and it is evacuated tube or evacuated glass tube. There are different types in this, but we are not going into that. This is one of the most popular and commercially available, and it is very economical. A single tube can cost you somewhere between 150 and 200 rupees. So it is very economical because it is mass produced, and that is one of the reason why it has become very popular. So this type of like multiple tubes would be installed for making a solar water heater, for example. There are other applications of this also, but one of the very common application is in the water heating application. Okay. Yeah. So how does the vacuum help you? Like conceptually or theoretically, if you see, there is air gap between the glazing and the absorber tube in case of regular flat plate collector, right? But here there is vacuum, so convective heat losses are minimal. In this case, convective heat losses are minimal, so there won't be much of convective heat loss from the outer surface of the inner tube to the outer tube. Okay. But of course, you cannot stop the radiative losses, from this. So, like the outer surface, once it reach outer surface of the inner tube, once it reaches a particular temperature, would start emitting heat, and that will be captured by the outer tube, and then outer tube gives it out to air, or it gives it out to sky, right? So that type of loss cannot be stopped. But if you don't operate it at a very high temperature, then you can expect that the efficiency could be higher than the efficiency of a flat plate collector. But of course, finally, it depends all on the quality of the components used. Like if this quality of this coating is not very good, its absorptivity itself is not very good, uh, then you cannot expect that it will give you higher efficiency. So another variety, as explained, is a evacuated tube collector. Okay. Now we are starting to talk about the concentrating type of collector. Now, first question is, why should one use concentrating type of collector? Because I can give you some reasons, or some of the disadvantages or limitations of concentrating type of collector. One, they have to track the sun, almost all of them, except maybe some exceptions. They have to track the sun, means you need to have a tracking mechanism which has some additional cost and maintenance related with that. Again, tracking cannot be perfect most of the times. So there'll be loss because of that. And when you say concentrating, it means reflection or refraction is involved. So reflection and refraction would have their own inaccuracies. So because of that, also there could be losses. Okay. And concentrating collectors can use only beam radiation. They cannot focus diffuse radiation. Diffuse radiation is coming from all directions. So it's not possible to focus them on a small area. Okay. So, but then why to go for for some application people go for concentrating type of collector? The reason is that if you want to produce higher temperatures and you don't want efficiency to go down drastically, then you would go for concentrating type of collector. So I would show you that efficiency curve again, which is a very important curve. You need to understand that thoroughly. What does it explain? This is delta T. I hope by now you know what is delta T. Delta T is the temperature difference between the inlet fluid temperature and the ambient temperature. And sometimes, as I told, it is taken as the mean temperature of the fluid minus ambient temperature. So basically, it represents the operating temperature. So if you want to produce higher temperatures, different applications need different temperatures, right? Like for example, water heating, the temperature required is not very high, could be somewhere around 60 degrees or so. Like if you talk about swimming pool application, it will be even lower than that. Other applications, for example, producing steam would need a higher temperature, or like process heating applications in different industries, or even let's say for refrigeration, air conditioning, you would need higher temperatures. So in that case, your delta T would be higher. So higher delta T means for a given collector, this is for a particular collector. For that type of collector, let's say this is for a flat plate collector, the simple flat plate collector, which is let's say used for water heating. Now, let's say somebody needs water at 50 degrees Celsius. In that case, your efficiency value may come out to be, let's say, 70%. But somebody else needs water at, let's say, 60 degrees Celsius. So in that case, your efficiency may come out to be 55%. But if you try to use it, let's say for producing steam at 100 degrees Celsius, then let's say 100 degrees Celsius minus 30 is ambient. So 70 delta T is this. So what you may find is that the temperature, the efficiency is just let's say 40%. Now this may be very low efficiency, and if you go for that efficiency, then you would have to install very much larger area of the solar collector, and you may not have that much area available with you, right? So you would rather like to go for some collector which can give you a bit different type of graph, not like this, but let's say having less slope as compared to that, right? But then sometimes the starting point, this intercept may be lower, but the slope of the line may be less, and because of that it may be more suitable for higher delta T. So this is the basic concept of why a higher quality solar collector or concentrating type of solar collector may be used. Now, why would the with higher temperature, why would the efficiency not reduce drastically in another type of collector? Let me show the graph. I'll explain it there. Okay, so you have this option. Let's say this flat plate collector. Okay, the diagram is not very sharp, but I hope at least you are able to understand. And so this line, what you see here is, let's say, for flat plate collector, right? So what does it mean? That if you want to go for high operating temperatures, it can give you very low efficiency. So it's not exactly efficiency which is put here, but it finally indirectly comes from efficiency. This is energy yield in kilowatt hour per meter square per annum. So the data for the whole year is taken. So for a flat plate collector, the data for the whole year is taken. Of course, how is this line created? It is created with the help of 3 different points, right? So you tested it at 3 different points throughout the year, and from that you are able to generate this data. Now, if you talk about another type of collector, which is a concentrating collector, the parabolic trough type of collector, you might or might not have come across this. That will be explained in this lecture. What is a parabolic trough type of collector? So you can see that the line, the intercept is lower. It means that if you want to use it for very low temperature applications, it is actually not suitable. It's better to go for the flat plate type of collector as compared to the parabolic trough type of collector, which is a concentrating type of collector, right? The reasons for this lower efficiency at lower temperatures could be the additional losses in terms of the when reflector is used, so reflectivity won't be 100%. So because of that, the optical loss is what I had talked about in previous class. So optical loss could be higher, right? So that would reduce this intercept. Okay, again, it has to focus it on a particular area. If it is not designed perfectly, the geometrical error is there, then some reflected radiation may not hit the target and it may miss it. In that case, again, the loss would be higher. But then the thermal losses would be lower as compared to the flat plate collector in case of concentrating type of collectors. So for higher temperature differences, let's say your operating temperature is 100 degrees Celsius. You can see this is giving you something less than 200, right? The flat plate collector, while this parabolic trough type of collector is giving you around 300. So for higher temperature of the fluid, okay, or higher delta T, fluid minus ambient is delta T. Ambient is constant. In that case, you can take the absorber fluid temperature. Again, there was this GT in the denominator. So that GT is irradiance. So if again irradiance is, let's say, constant through for all the data, in that case you can plot it this energy yield or efficiency versus absorber fluid temperature, right? So as you can understand from this graph, normally the concentrating type of collectors are more suitable for operating at higher temperatures, Now, what is the reason for that? The reason for that is the flat plate. In case of flat plate collector, the aperture area. Okay, what is aperture area? It is the area through which the solar radiation enters a collector. Aperture area is almost equal to the absorber area because it is a flat plate type of collector. So that plate area is the absorber area, which is almost same as the aperture area, right? If you consider, let's say, the glass area equal to aperture area. So that plate area is almost equal to the glass area. So absorber area and aperture area are almost same. Now, what is the problem with high absorber area? The problem with high absorber area is that higher the area, higher the heat transfer rate, right? Now you know the equation UA, UL, the QL, the heat loss is proportionate to U value, right? The heat loss coefficient into area of the collector, or rather the absorber, into delta T, right? So higher the area, higher the loss. Now, can you keep, let's say, aperture area same and reduce absorber area? Yes, that is possible. Here, in case of flat plate collector, the ratio is almost equal to 1. But what you want is to keep your aperture area same, or let's say higher, and reduce the absorber area. So basically what you want to do is increase aperture area to absorber area ratio. Increase aperture area to absorber area ratio, because absorber area is responsible for heat loss. No other area is responsible for heat loss. Absorber area is because it's that component which gets heated and remains at a higher temperature. So the loss primary start from that area. So this ratio, what I'm talking about, is actually called concentration ratio. The ratio of the aperture area to absorber area is called concentration ratio. So if you can have higher concentration ratio, you can expect that the heat loss is, now remember, we are not talking about optical losses. Optical losses actually could be higher in case of concentrating type of collector, because you are adding some more components. Reflection or refraction is added, and then geometrical error may be there. So that way you might be increasing the optical error, but the optical efficiency, but thermal heat loss would certainly get reduced, because the area through which the heat loss occurs, thermal heat loss occurs, can be reduced as compared to the aperture area. So at higher temperatures, it would be generally advantageous to use concentrating type of collector, right? Now there is one term called, I already defined the concentration ratio. There is one term called stagnation temperature. Now what is that? You have 3 points for the flat plate collector. Now I can have even more number of points. I can go on increasing the absorber fluid temperature, or I just extend this graph assuming that it's going to give me a linear curve. So what you might find is somewhere near, let's say 140 or 135, this touches the horizontal axis. What does it mean? It won't give you any energy, or efficiency would be equal to 0. So what does it mean? The it is the absorber fluid temperature is 135, right? So what does it mean? It will give no output if you try to get heat at 135°C. Why would that happen? It would happen because uh, like the surface is so much heated, the absorber surface it is at such a high temperature that the heat loss is, whatever gain is there in terms of the solar radiation conversion, the same is lost. Okay, the same is lost to the atmosphere because the temperature is so high and you are not able to heat the fluid at all, right? It just remains, yeah, you are pumping it at 135, it is coming out at 135. That's all, right? You are not able to get any productive output from that collector. Now this temperature is called stagnation temperature. Uh, so higher the concentration ratio, higher the stagnation temperature. As you can see, for parabolic trough type of collector, it is much more than 200°C, right? So even up to 200, let's say it touches at 250. So if your fluid temperature is certainly give some output, right? But at 250, it will not give you any output. And so this stagnation temperature is important because in case the collector is idle, like lying idle, then it should still be able to like withstand that temperature, the stagnation temperature, right? Because there could be times when you are not using the collector because of some reason. So collector will reach a very high temperature, which will be equal to the stagnation temperature. So you should be able, your collector design should be such that it is able to withstand the stagnation temperature. Okay, so that is about the stagnation temperature. And concentration ratio is the ratio of aperture area to absorber area in case of a concentrating collector. So what is a concentrating collector or focusing type of collector? It will have some area which will reflect or refract solar radiation and it will focus it on smaller absorber area. So all those type of collectors are concentrating type of collectors. Okay. There is a parabolic trough type of collector which has this ratio, the CR or concentration ratio, generally in the range of 15 to 45. But there are other designs like parabolic dish type of collector which has a concentration ratio in the range of 100 to 1000. Now, generally, higher the temperature you want, higher the concentration ratio you will keep, because you want to go on reducing the absorber area as compared to the aperture area to reduce the thermal losses. Okay. A parabolic trough type of collector can provide temperatures up to 300, but a dish type of collector, actually it is not just 500, it can even go up to 1000°C. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about one type of collector, which is called compound parabolic collector, which is being which has been more popular, or it is being recommended for applications where the temperatures required are not very high, could be somewhere around 120, 150°C or so. So this is actually a concentrating type of collector, but the concentration ratio is small. As you can see, the CR is generally around less than 3. And it is said that it is a non-imaging type of collector. That is one of the advantage which is stated for this type of collector. So I'll show you the figure of this collector. So it's for medium temperature applications. It's generally for medium temperature applications, right? Not very high temperature application, right? So theoretically, it is made like this. So you have one parabola A here, this one, this dashed line, but then here this portion is shown as full line. There is one parabola here, A, and there is another parabola here, B, and again some portion of that is shown as dark. Now what is done is you are not using two full parabola. What you are using is you are only using this part of parabola B, and you are using only this part of parabola A. Now here, this is the aperture, you can see. So the radiation would enter from this area, and because this is a parabola B, it is going to, like, once it is reflected, it will fall on the focus of parabola B. So this is the focus of parabola B, and this is the focus of parabola A. So whatever is being so you are going to keep your absorber plate, maybe it may be put at the bottom here or maybe slightly up here. So whatever radiation strikes this, either this darkened portion or this darkened portion, is going to fall on the absorber area, which will be kept somewhere here. Okay. And it is said that because it is non-imaging, even the diffuse radiation which is falling, by multiple reflections, it finally reach the absorber. So no radiation which enters into this aperture is able to escape out. And because of this, this gives you somewhat higher efficiency as compared to the higher efficiency compared to the other type of collectors, because it is non-imaging type of collector, right? In when I say higher or lower, you should compare them with the similar type of collector. Okay, so this is CPC. Now here you are saying that you will use this portion and this portion of the two parabola, but actually it seems to be very long. So sometime what is found is that the radiation which is available from the upper portions is much smaller as compared to the lower portions. So you might truncate this to reduce its height. You might sacrifice efficiency a bit, but you are also saving the area, because these areas, the reflecting areas, are not cheap. They are having very high cost. To increase its reflectivity, special type of materials and manufacturing processes are required. So you may like trim the upper portion of that and reduce the area, reduce the cost, and also reduce the wind load, but most probably. And you can use the rest of the part what is also done is what you see at bottom, this portion and this portion, that may be used as CPC, compound parabolic trough type of collector. And this collector is generally used as non tracking type of collector. It is kept stationary. Okay. If concentration ratio is low, what you sacrifice by not tracking the sun is less, or for a few hours you can expect that all radiation which is entering into the collector will still fall on the absorber, right? So that is what is called acceptance angle. Higher the concentration ratio, less the acceptance angle, and you have to track the sun more perfectly. Now, because here CR is less, you may not at all track the sun. So what I was talking about, this lower portions are used, and then you have put the receiver here as it is shown here in a CPC. So this is a CPC, compound parabolic collector, which can also be used for medium temperature applications, right? Somewhere around, let's say 120 to 150 or so. Okay. So this may still be used as a stationary collector, right? So there is a video which I'll play now, and you can watch that video. It shows and talks about the application of this type of collector for process heating applications.
SunBest, powering the future.
This project is located in the Jalpaiguri district of West Bengal, where Godrej Group has their instant tea plant inside one of their flagship gardens, Ivyl Tea Garden. This is the view of Ivyl Tea Garden. Instant tea plant is a 100% export-oriented unit. Produce instant tea, which requires on an average 5,000 liters of water per hour, and this water need to be heated up to 80 degrees centigrade. Heating portion is taken care of by steam, which is generated by burning coal. This is the view of instant tea plant from the front. To reduce the use of fossil fuel and carbon emission, Godrej Group installed CPC collectors on its rooftop to harness solar energy to heat up the water. This is the view of the solar collectors on top of the roof. There are total 212 CPC collectors distributed in two adjoining roofs. One roof is carrying 107 collectors and the other roof is carrying 105 collectors, thus forming two different loops, which is passing through two different pHs. During sunny period, water inside the CPC collectors get heated up by absorbing solar energy, and this hot water starts circulating inside the closed loop with the help of a pump. While circulating in a closed loop, this hot water...
You can see the pyranometer installed, right? The way it was shown, it is kept on the plane of the collector. Okay, so this will give you the total amount of radiation or irradiance falling on this inclined surface. You don't need to do any calculation. Whatever is measured by this pyranometer is the input energy, and that's how you can find the efficiency of the collector. That is what is the pumping, what is the water flow rate multiplied by Cp of water into temperature change of water, and that is the output energy divided by the input energy in watt per meter square would be given by this, multiplied by whatever is the area of the collector. And you can see that evacuated tube is actually used here as absorber as absorber tube, right? So the water will be pumped through that. Now water will be pumped through that, and uh, as you can like now this will not have water completely filled in the tube, right? Here there can be a U tube which is inserted, and there would be fins inside this tube which will take heat from the inner surface of the tube, and it will give it to the water flowing in the tube, and that will finally be collected in the manifold, right? This portion is called manifold, where there will be two tubes. One will be the one which is pumping water in, and the other one from which the water is taken to the other tube. The outlet portion of that would be connected with the other tube, right? So, and as you can see, the bottom portion is not flat. You can see this cow, right? So that's nothing but the CPC, right? The curvature that you could see in the previous diagram, the same curvature is shown here. So that is CPC type of collector. So because of this curvature, you get some concentration of the radiation onto this tube, and the temperature mentioned is of course not very high. They told it is 80. This is somewhat higher than what you expect in case of domestic water heater. So for that somewhat higher temperature, the CPC design has been used, and with that your efficiency is expected to be higher as compared to the simple tubes at 80 degrees Celsius, right? The simple collector would give you much lower efficiency at 80 degrees Celsius of water temperature as compared to this one, and that's why you use CPC design. Of course, you will increase the initial cost because additional reflecting surfaces are there, so you will increase the cost, but then it will pay it back because it gives you higher efficiency. Of course, you can reduce the spacing between the tubes here, right? So if tube is a bit costlier component, then you can save number of tubes also. Okay, by because the spacing as compared to that domestic water heater, here it is higher than that. Okay.
Water passes through a PHE or plate heat exchanger, where it transfers the heat to the cold water and once again goes back to the CPC collectors, where it gets heated up once again and gives up its heat energy while passing through the PHE.
Okay, so as mentioned, the water which is circulating in the tubes is different from the water which will be used in the plant, and it mentioned the word PHE, that is plate heat exchanger, right? You will again come across this when you study the subject of heat and mass transfer. So that type of heat exchanger is used to exchange heat with water, which will be used in some process heating. Okay. And it's a closed loop. So the same water is recirculated. So inlet water temperature will not be ambient temperature. Inlet water temperature could be 5-10 degrees less than the outlet water temperature.
This cycle carries on till such time the sunlight remains. To extract maximum benefit out of the solar collectors, two actuator valves were installed, which is basically a PID controller, sends the input water temperature and releases only that much amount of steam which is required to increase the temperature to 80 degrees centigrade, especially during.
So he mentioned about some control, because you want the water to come out only at 80 degrees Celsius. So you're reducing the flow rate in case the less solar energy is available.
During not so sunny days or cloudy days.
These tubes that you see here are called headers. So they will carry the water tubes, the incoming water and the outgoing water. right? And as you can see, it seems that it is insulated because you don't want to lose the heat of that water into the atmosphere. So it is insulated, and then there is cladding. It is covered with metal sheet. So that is called cladding, right? And then it is carried to the plant.
This is the inside view where heat exchange is taking place through the solar PHEs. These are the pumps which circulates hot water through the PHE. This is number 1 solar PHE or plate heat exchanger. And this is number 2 plate heat exchanger. This is the view of actuator valve. With the installation of CPC collectors, on an average per day, around 600 kg of coal savings was recorded. This is the solar panel, which shows the solar inlet temperature.
So here the inlet temperature and outlet temperature of water from the solar collector is seen. So what is coming out of the collector is at 91 degrees Celsius, as you can see, and it is coming out at 62 degrees Celsius. And the process water temperature, this must be the outlet, which is 87. So you are able to heat it up to 87 degree Celsius. That is the water used in some process, some heating process as a part of the manufacturing process of the instant tea, right? And so these are the temperature recorded at the plate heat exchanger, inlet and outlet. Okay, so it must be a counterflow type of heat exchanger.
That is 91 degrees centigrade, and the processed water which is going inside the plant is 87 degrees centigrade.
Yeah, so I hope this gave you some good idea about the parabolic, this CPC, compound parabolic trough type of collector. So these are the reflecting surfaces which give you some additional concentration, and because of that you are able to get somewhat higher temperature or higher efficiency at somewhat elevated temperature. Though he mentioned the temperature equal to 80 degrees Celsius, you could see that if it is a sunny day, then you can expect the even higher temperatures. So 91 was seen on the panel. Okay, so this type of design, which is having somewhat higher concentration, can give you this is like higher than 1, right? So CPC, as I mentioned, it is less than 3 most of the times. So but it was a fixed collector, as you could see. Okay, there is no need for tracking, even if there is some concentration of the or focusing of solar rays done, because the concentration ratio is low. So yeah, like in this case, the like the acceptance angle is high. Okay, so only a few hours, a couple of hours, maybe at the time of sunrise and a couple of hours at the time of sunset, you may not get or you may lose a very high portion of the solar radiation because it may not be focused properly. But then rest of the time it is able to focus it nicely on the this receiver area, which is evacuated tubes are put there, and you are able to get output from that. And like he also mentioned, the reason the environmental aspects, that you are able to reduce the consumption of the fossil fuel or coal, and you are reducing the carbon emissions. So in addition to economics, the environmental aspects should also be considered when you are talking about the alternative or non-conventional renewable energy sources. The other type of collector, which is also very popular, is parabolic trough type of collector. So let us see how is the design of this type of collector. A small parabolic trough type of collector has been shown here. Now we are talking about the focusing type of collector. So now onwards, whatever collector we talk about, they all will try to track the sun, right? They will try to track the sun, so they will have some kind of movement so that it is able to keep that cos theta angle or theta angle as less as possible. So you can see this sheet here, highly polished reflector sheet. So that's what can give you high reflectivity, could be highly polished aluminum sheet. Okay, and then whatever solar radiation, the beam radiation falls on this. So now we are talking about only beam radiation. The diffuse part cannot be used. Whatever beam radiation falls on the reflector sheet is reflected. Of course, reflectivity cannot be 100%. It can be 80%, 85%, maybe 90%. So that much percentage is reflected. Rest is of course absorbed, and the reflected portion, if the geometry is perfect, then all of it will fall on this tube. If geometry is not perfect, then some part may miss this absorber tube. You can see absorber tube area is so small as compared to the reflector area. So because the absorber area, tube area is small, there is one advantage, there is another one disadvantage. Advantage is that you are reducing the area, so you are reducing the heat transfer or heat loss rate, UA delta T. So A is less, so there is less area through which you will lose the heat. So that is an advantage, but then the area is small. So even if there is a small geometrical error, then the reflected radiation could miss the tube. So that's the importance of the achieving good geometry, and its important will be more and more as your concentration ratio increases. Okay, so these are the different components of this parabolic trough type of collector. Of course, this is a very small collector shown, but essentially the components remain same. You also need to have a tracking mechanism, the mechanism to track the sun. Now, most of the times in parabolic trough type of collector, the collector is kept horizontal, and east-west tracking of the sun is done. That is daily movement, east-west movement of the sun is tracked. So in the morning, it will be kept facing the sun on the eastern side, and as the sun moves, this will also continuously move and try to track the daily movement of the sun. And at the time of noon, it will be like the aperture area will be nearly horizontal. Again, it will start moving towards west and up to the sunset time. Right? So that is single axis tracking. So the tracking methodology, what I just described, would keep this axis, in which direction it will keep it, north south. This will be north south, and the tracking would be east west tracking. The tracking would be east west tracking, as it is shown here. The details of the components are shown here. So this is like this, like now you cannot see the axis, it is a point. So that line perpendicular to the page would be the north south line. There is east on this side, on the left side, and west on the right side. So in morning it will be kept, it may continuously move, and morning it will be facing east, and this is the noon time, and this is the afternoon. So this is how the daily tracking may be done. There are different ways or tracking methodologies, but this is one of the most popular things. So this is single axis tracking. So this type of collector is actually a line focusing type of collector. It focuses the solar radiation on a line. It is a line focusing type of collector. Okay. So ideally it focuses on a line. Okay. And on that line, you are putting this absorber tube, small diameter absorber tube. So all reflected radiation are supposed to fall on that line, right? So now here you can see on the right hand side the receiver details. What you could see there was just a black coated tube. Many times a glass cover is also put, right? And the one of the reasons why glass cover is put is it would reduce the convection losses, right? And it will also become a barrier to the radiation losses. Okay, so glass cover can be put. Of course, when you put a glass cover, glass has not, it doesn't have 100% transmissivity, so there will be some transmission losses in addition to the reflection losses from the reflector surface. Right, so you are increasing optical losses, but by putting glass, you will reduce the thermal losses. So finally, you have to decide what is the temperature, and for that, whether I need to put the glass or I don't need to put the glass. Another reason could be to protect the tube from the weather conditions. So for that also you might need a glass cover. So these are the different components. This is the tracking mechanism. Could be a constant movement in this case also, because it moves according to the movement of the sun. So single axis tracking mechanism could be used here, and it can be automated. Most of the times it needs to be automated because you can't do it manually. Manually, if you want to do, then every hour or couple of hours, you have to move it facing the sun, but it will not be perfect tracking. Of course, single axis tracking is again not perfect tracking, but you don't, but you lose little radiation, because you try to make it perfect tracking, then it will complicate the things more. So I'll stop here for today's lecture. The video for a parabolic trough type of collector would be shown in the next lecture. That is where we will start in the next lecture. Yeah. So I hope all of you have